land explored by our ancestors extends from Altai to the White Sea. The scientific expedition Trails of Nomads continues to unveil the path of our forefathers. Its leader is a true citizen of the world. He believes without a deep understanding of the past, there is no future. Each journey is focused on a detailed study of history and culture. Pilgrim of the 21st century, Sapari Skakov, with a team of scientists, has already visited more than 50 countries. Scientists reveal the exciting secrets of the past. Watch an amazing story of a great journey in the Trails of Nomads program. Today's Trails of Nomads episode presents: what is similar between burial rites in the Uaka Pukljana archaeological site and the burial tradition of Sakha tribes? Were the American Indians able to make gold jewelry in animal style? Geoglyphs of Torgai steppe and geoglyphs of the Nazca Lines. What connects them? Lima has been the capital of the Republic of Peru since 1821. The city plays an important role in the economic development of the country. After all, 1/3 of the population, that is almost 10 million, live in this city. Approximately 40% of them are descendants of Europeans who settled here after the colonization of the conquistadors. 44% are half-blooded. 8% are Asians, mainly Chinese and Japanese. 3% are Afro-Peruvians. The remaining 5% are Indians, who, as indigenous people, essentially had to have the highest standard of living. Even before the arrival of Columbus, the territory of present-day Lima was inhabited by the Ichma tribes. In the 15th century, they became part of the Inca Empire. This fact was the reason for the arrival of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads. Signs of Altai Turks were found at local archaeological sites.
İçmay öntüstörde олар бабаларының қойған жерін қадірлеген.
The Ichma Indians also paid particular attention to the burial places of their ancestors. They called these places sacred. We also have the same beliefs.
Сондай тәртіп бар, қалған дәстүр бар.
Lima is the great heritage of all mankind. Since 1991, the city has been taken under the protection of UNESCO. It has a huge number of historical monuments. After the Spanish conquest of Peru under Conquistador Francisco Pizarro, Viceroyalty of Peru was created. In 1544, Blasco Núñez Vela was named Peru's first viceroy. Some palaces built during that period have survived to the present day. There are other majestic architectural structures. Most of them are churches. This was one of the symbols of colonial policy. Before the Spaniards, there were no churches here. Some architectural elements are similar to the worldview of the Indians. For example, images of the sun.
Traditions of our people imply certain principles. For example, you can't shoot swans, or it was forbidden to mention the word wolf. Native American Indians have similar principles. We are very similar in this regard. In particular, the various beliefs and prohibitions of the Altai and American Indians are similar. Look, in the north there is Novaya Zemlya. Tribes of Dolgans who bred deer are also Turks, and the Yakuts also have a lot in common with us. The place along which the scientific caravan is moving is called Green Coast. Looking at the beautiful dancing sea waves, enjoying the beauty and grandeur of nature, you involuntarily plunge into a fascinating journey into the historical past. This is what ancient Native American civilization means. By the way, it is located in the ultra-modern, rich and prestigious area of Lima called Miraflores. Uaka Pukljana archaeological site means a sacred place for the game. Apparently, various religious rituals were held here. This place appeared in the 5th century. Construction of Uaka Pukljana began 1,000 years earlier than the erection of Machu Picchu. Other materials were used in its construction, for example, clay and hand-poured bricks. The pyramids, which have survived for 15 centuries, point on amazing skills of Indians.
Ол үлкен храм енді. Өйткені оның ұзындығы 500 метр.
This is an enormous temple. The length exceeds 500 meters. The width is over 100 meters. It was built of red brick and straw blocks. Builders used different materials. This is a sacred place. Rulers and noble priests who were recognized as saints were buried here.
Өте жоғары санайтын әулиелерінің, патшаларының жерленген жері.
The archaeological site keeps many secrets. Research is underway. In 2008, archaeologists found a burial ground with the remains of 3 people, a child and 2 adults. They were wearing masks. Putting special clothes on the deceased and burying them with various items is a common tradition here, which is very similar to the customs of the ancient sagas.
Олар да адамды жерлеген.
They buried the deceased after wrapping them in cloth. We have similar ancient burials found in Pavlodar. Ukrainian scientists study the cloth in which the dead was wrapped. And now I want to know the similarity of fabrics. I mean fabrics in which the deceased of the Inca burial were wrapped. They look like the fabrics from the Pavlodar burial ground. This is my guess. Exhibits of the Gold Museum in Lima confirm close relationship of the Indians inhabiting Peru with the land of Altai. Most of them relate to the period of the Roman Empire and even to an earlier period. The Trails of Nomads scientific team paid a visit to this museum. Huge number of exhibits of the Gold Museum are notable for their antiquity. There are approximately 8,000 exhibits. The oldest dates back to 1300 BC. This huge legacy was not collected by the state but by one person, the Peruvian business person Miguel Mujica Gallo. He donated the entire collection to his country. On its basis, a museum was opened in 1968. Of course, later the fund increased. Leader of expedition Sapari Skakov noticed similarity of the ancient technologies for processing gold of Indians and Sakas. The forms of products, the methods of their decoration indicate the connection of styles and common roots that come from the sacred land of Altai.
Оны аралап шыққан уақытында біздің байқағанымыз көп ұқсастық бар екен. Сақ замандағы, түрік замандағы жасалған заттарға қарағанда.
We noticed that the gold products of the Indians are very similar to the items of the Saka in the Turkic periods. And they have masks trimmed with gold. There are ones made of stone. For example, I hold a mask of a person. On the frontal part, there's an 8-pointed star. Our ancestors had such a sign depicting an 8-pointed star. And this is another proof of our kinship.
Бізде де сондай белгі бар. 8 бұрышты жұлдыз. Осыған қараған уақытында міне ұқсастықты міне табуға болады.
The animal style is also traced on the gold products of the Indians. Images of animals and birds on jewelry and clothes are a unique phenomenon in art, which has become a real feature of the Saka tribes. People worshipped the god of blacksmithing. Perhaps thanks to this worldview, such amazing technological results were achieved.
Алтынды өңдеу технологиясы өте ұқсас сақтар мен үндістердің арасындағы.
The gold processing technologies of the Indians and Sakas are very similar. For millennia, there have been no relations between us. We are in Asia, they are in America. Despite this, we have a lot in common. This is what surprises us. Of course, all this requires further study by scientists.
Енді сол бір бізді таңғалдыратын нәрсе осары. Оны әрине ғалымдар әрі қарай зерттеу керек тағы да.
Participants of the expedition Trails of Nomads visited one of the national restaurants in Lima. They seemed to find themselves in their native Kazakh yurt. That was the first impression. Each table is separated by lattice sliding walls. They resemble karage, the constituent parts of the yurt which the Kazakhs call kanat, that is the wing. There are familiar patterns on the door jamb. The whole interior resembles the Kazakh national style.
Біздің қазақ үйі ұқсайды, ана үлкен үйіміз бар ғой, домалақ. Дом деп отырғаны бұлардың үйлері біздің кәдімгі сол біздің.
It is very similar to a Kazakh house. I mean a big round house. The shape resembles a dome. The doors of the house are facing east. Their jewelry, bracelets, rings are similar to ours. This is an amazing similarity. Also, both nations decorate clothes with feathers of an eagle. Mostly, girls like them. Indians are known for using feathers as decoration.
үкі тағу дейміз ғой, мысалы үшін біздерде әсіресе қыз балалар үкі тағады, солай емес пе? А бұларда үкіні ең көп тағатын осы үндістер ғой, мысалы үшін.
Participants of the scientific expedition, Chills of Nomads, continue their journey. Next stop is an amazing Nazca Lines. Have you heard anything about it? It is located 446 kilometers from Lima. The main attraction of this place is the giant geoglyphs that are simply impossible to imagine. A chain of large-scale images starts from the Paracas Peninsula, located 200 kilometers away. Haven't reached it by car, one should take a boat to see the geoglyphs. The length of this geoglyph, resembling a candelabrum, is about 200 meters, width 74 meters. Scientists have not yet figured out what the purpose of this work was. As known, several graves were found in this area in the 20s of the last century. The earliest of them date to the first millennium BC. This place was supposedly an ancient settlement of the Indians.
Перу деген еліміз, ел қазір бұрынғы инк халықтарының бұрынғы империясының территориясында осында орналасқан. Одан қалған
Current Peru is located on the territory of the Inca Empire. Numerous archaeological sites speak of this. One of such places is Paracas. Tourists from all over the world come here to look at local archaeological sites. One of the hills depicts an image of a candelabra. Scientists cannot say when it appeared, but the chain of images on the Nazca Lines begins from it.
Қай уақытта салынған әлі ғалымдар дұрыс айта алмайды, бірақ сол жаңағы суреттен басталады Назканың үстінен қарайтын жаңағы суреттер.
This is a mysterious place, and not only because of geoglyphs. There is a unique abode of birds located on the Ballestas Islands. The birds living here are of great benefit to the economy. A huge number of tourists come here to look at them. A high-quality fertilizer is made from their excrements. In addition, tourists like local seals. Visitors come to look at these sun-basking animals, thus making contributions to the local budget.
Паракс деген сөз кечуа тіліне аударған уақытында мынау құмға жауған жаңбыр.
The word Paracas in Quechua means rain fallen on the sand. This place can be compared to paradise. There are many graves in this area. Archaeologists have found over 40 mummies here. The deceased were wrapped in fabric that is now being examined. Many different objects were also discovered. These are gold products, precious stones.
Заттар қойылған, алтыннан басқа асыл заттардан қойылған.
Unlike others, this bird brings significant income to the budget. It knows how to please guests. Tourism is one of the main sources of income in Paracas. The scientific expedition team continues its journey. They are heading to the Nazca Lines. Arriving at the place, scientists took to the air to look at huge geoglyphs from a bird's eye view.
Теңіздің жағасында Ика деген қалада үлкен мынау ұшақтардың қонатын аэродром бар. Солардан біз
In Ica, there is an airfield serving large aircraft. We took off from there. Geoglyphs can be seen only from above. The largest is about 200 meters in length. The average is about 50 to 100 meters. Here, all types of economic activity are now suspended. This is a tourist attraction. You can't drive a car here or even walk. Only scientists can. Geoglyphs on the Nazca Lines have various shapes. This one, for example, is a geometric figure consisting of straight lines. The next one is in the form of a spiral. There are also images of animals. You can even see the image of people.
There are about 30 such figures, almost 700 geoglyphs in the form of geometric figures, and about 13,000 geoglyphs in the form of straight lines on the Nazca Lines. They were made in two ways, by gathering rocks and digging ditches. Everyone knows that this was done by Native American tribes, but for what purpose, nobody knows. Judging by the enormous size, it can be assumed that people pursued astronomical or religious tasks.
Әртүрлі құстардың, жәндіктердің суреті толып атқан. Соның ішінде біздің бір таң қалған нәрсе, ол жарда тұрған.
There are many images of birds, insects, but we were surprised by the image of a man with the head of the sun, at least very similar to a man with a sun head. We have similar geoglyphs in Kazakhstan, in Tamgali, near Almaty. This is a sun-headed man. We saw almost the same image in Nazca.
Басы күнге ұқсас. Сондай адамды біз сол Назкада көрдік.
The Nazca Lines is a desert territory. The absence of rain contributed to the conservation of geoglyphs. According to scientists, in 500 BC there was water here. Later, the drought came. The Indians perceived such a dramatic climate change as God's punishment. They tried to establish a dialogue with him through gigantic drawings on the land, geoglyphs. In Kazakhstan, in Torgai, there are same geoglyphs, and the terrain is similar. According to scientists, the land of Torgai was also covered with water. That is, there is a certain connection between the geoglyphs of Torgai and Nazca.
Екеуінің айырмашылығы, олар жерден қазып жасайды суретті, ал Торғайдағы геоглифтар, олар үйіп.
The difference between geoglyphs is that Torgai geoglyphs were made using earthen mounds, as Nazca ones, on the contrary, with the help of ditches. In Torgai, there are from 30 to 70 ditches. However, they are still not properly studied by scientists. I think everything is still ahead. There are such lines in Mangistau Usturt. There are a lot of such triangular patterns that look like arrows, and these geoglyphs also have yet to be explored.
Стрелаға ұқсайтын суреттер өте көп. Ол да әлі дұрыс зерттелмей жатыр.
If you rise to the sky above Torgai, you can see the same geoglyphs as in Nazca in the form of a swastika, quadrangles. According to scientists, they date back to about 2,000 years BC.
Назкадағы суреттермен бір уақытта болып тұр.
That is, the chronological frames of the drawings in Nazca and Torgai are the same, and this is an amazing fact. It is surprising how the people who made these geoglyphs could see them. After all, they did not have the opportunity to fly, or maybe they had. Then, how did they do it? All this remains a mystery.
Жұмбақ деп айтуға болады.
The geoglyphs of Torgai and Nazca have yet to be investigated and compared, but now it can be assumed that there is a certain connection between the American Indians and the ancestors of the Kazakhs.
әрине
40,000 years have passed since the Indians migrated. Customs and traditions have changed, but still, there are some things that do not change. For example, the manufacture of mats. We witnessed how our grandmothers made them. To do this, they used various devices and stones. They knitted, mixing threads. American Indians also knitted in a similar way. They also baked bread with the help of a cauldron, heat it, put the dough, and then turn the cauldron over. There are similar traditions, and they were good horse breeders. The tourism sector in the Republic of Peru is important for the country's economy. This industry is one of the three main sources of budget income after the mining industry and agriculture. Ancient monuments of the Indians is of great interest to tourists. That is, Indian civilization still pleases people with its fruits. It benefits not only Peru, but all of America.
Америкадағы мемлекеттер сияқты Қазақстанда туризмнен дамыту
Like the states of America, Kazakhstan should develop its economy through tourism. This will make our country recognizable.
Many will be able to find out where Kazakhstan is, who are the Kazakhs, who are the Turks. Everyone will get acquainted with our culture and the culture of our ancestors. This is the main benefit.
Олардың тарихын, олардың мәдениетін біле бастайды. Міне ең жоғарғы пайда сол.
Thus, the overseas work of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads is completed. The main result of scientists' research in America is a huge information base that confirms that the Indian tribes created a unique independent civilization. There is evidence that their ancestral home is the sacred land of Altai. All documents will be studied. They are already being discussed by scientists, and perhaps some conclusions will become the basis for new historical discoveries. The next stop of the scientific caravan is Ukraine. Kazakhstan's expedition has already been in this country once. However, there is a special reason for this new visit. But we will tell you more about this in our next episode.